Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your local experts on all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Listen in as they discuss the current state of the market, the latest trends, and have a little fun while doing it. We do want to say the opinions voiced on this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individuals. All right, y'all. Welcome back to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale. Pew, 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 pew. Yep. Welcome in, guys.
Cammy's bringing me a toy. Don't forget Cammy in the intro.
Cammy's here too. Production assistant Ruski.
Making it. She's gonna knock a microphone over.
Cameo. So is this what are we doing?
What do you mean?
Are we?
I'm diving right into market movers and headlines.
Putting the what in what?
Oh yeah. Where we do the.
I've kind of given up on that.
Why? That's my favorite part.
We're out of them.
Oh well, recycle some. Let's see.
See,
I don't know.
Let's get into market movers.
We put the positive and spread the positive.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
I am positive that's not a good one.
All right, let's do headlines already.
Suggestions. I won't read it, so Trent can use it next week.
Okay. All right, here we go. Headlines.
Jonathan just said, I don't know if you could hear it in that transition, but if you've got any ideas for Trent, leave them in the comments. Jonathan and I will stay out of the comments this week so that we can get surprised. But Trent has his fountain of quips has run dry.
Yeah, we need quips.
And so he needs some.
He'd quip us with some quips.
Yeah.
Putting the blank.
Give us an example
blank.
of one that you remember that you've used, just so that people can.
I don't know. I'm blanking completely.
Or we put the real in real estate, or we put the
fun in funeral. Oh wait,
no, that's different.
The same. The concept is there, right?
Yeah. Ooh, man, headlines. Hey, John, have you heard of something called accidental landlords?
I have heard of accidental landlords. I've known quite a few accidental landlords.
So I was reading something this week, and I can't remember the source material. I think it was Housing Wire. Had an article out there about an increase in accidental landlords, and what an accidental landlord is: someone who, for any reason, didn't set out to become a real estate investor, but they need to buy a new house, and for whatever reason, they don't sell their old house, and they decide to rent it out, and so. They're predicting a rise or a spike in accidental landlords with the return to work movement, which has been kind of brewing now for probably 18 months or so.
At least
the remote work. I think that we've got a situation where we're going to have a hybrid for a lot of employers. They're going to have people coming in some days and work from home 2 or 3 days a week. But there's going to be a pull to come back into the office. And so, like, if you had bought a house in, say, Chattanooga, and your office is in Nashville, and they're going to require you to start coming in, you have to decide: you're going to recruit 4 hours every day, or are you going to sell your house, or are you going to move to Nashville or closer at least? And so if you can't sell the house in Chattanooga, or you decide you don't want to let that super low interest rate go, then you decide to rent it out. You didn't set out to become a landlord, but now you are one. And what's interesting, there's a couple of other things I thought were interesting in that article, and one of them was that some of those people, it's not like they watched all these TikTok videos or the Grant Cardones of, like, here's how to build a real estate mogul. They didn't set it. Some people did set out, the Burr method, and that's their plan. Those aren't accidental landlords. These are people who just wanted to buy a house to live in it, gain a little bit of equity appreciation, and then when they were ready to move, they would sell. And so now they're trying to catch up to what other people may know, their gaps in, like, what it takes to be a landlord, how 2 months not having a renter or an unexpected maintenance expense can really crash your cash flow. So it was really interesting. And the other thing that I thought was interesting ties back into what we talked about last week with builder incentives. And remember, last week we talked about how builders buy forward commitments of money and offering low rates. So if you're trying to sell a house now, you're very much competing with new construction. And this article gave an example of a guy who bought a house kind of at the peak of the market, and it's already hard enough to sell a house now because there's fewer buyers who want to take on the payments that are available with these rates. So it's already tougher, but now he's competing against new neighborhoods in his area where the builders are offering crazy incentives. And so on one hand, you can have something brand new with all these incentives. On the other hand, you have to buy something that's, even if it's 2 or 3 years old, it's still not brand new.
Put some carpet or flooring in it.
And he cannot offer those incentives because he doesn't have the room in his equity, if he has any equity at all, to be able to pay realtor commissions. So it's just a lot of fascinating dynamics in that article.
It is. So many thoughts on this. One is right before we started this show, I actually sent an email to a client right now. And, just kind of, we're listed right now, and, we're not getting the activity that we hoped we would on the listing. And I pulled a fresh set of comps. And this time, instead of comping the property, I just comped it on the price range. So in that particular market, from X to X, as far as the price goes. And, there were, I don't remember now, 32 or 33 competing properties on the market in that town. And of those 30, whatever it was like 22 of them, I think. So way over half were new construction.
Wow.
And every single new construction offers some type of an incentive, whether it's the forward commitment kind of subsidized rate, or a hefty chunk of closing cost, or both in some cases. Plus, the whole. This is why you need an agent, by the way, on new construction purchases. The whole like upgrade racket is very interesting to me.
Sure is, isn't it?
Hey, we're going to give you upgrades. Here's $2,000 worth of blinds that cost us $300.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, that kind of thing. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
I digress a little bit.
Just because somebody says something's a $3,000 upgrade doesn't mean it costs them $3,000 to provide it to you.
There used to be a builder in our area that didn't include garage door openers. So you'd have a double garage door, a metal garage door.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. And so it was an upgrade to have a garage door opener with that garage door.
How much did that upgrade cost?
$1,200.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
what?
$1,200.
But you can go and you can buy a
opener for $250
on the open market, right?
Like, it's $250. If you get it installed by a reputable garage door person, maybe $500.
Yeah, just for the opener
and installed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and
you're talking about. This is my naivety. I was thinking about just the clicker.
Sorry, no. Okay. So you have, this is a common thing, by the way, on the property condition disclosure. You have a garage door opener. That's the motor that pulls the garage door up. And then you have the remotes, which are the clickers. Yeah. Now a clicker is, I
was thinking like $30.
Yeah.
You can go and you can get one.
Yeah, they're programmable, whatever. Yeah. But no, I'm sorry. The actual opener itself was an option. So it was an upgrade.
Our motor died in our house, and I replaced that myself.
It's not bad.
It wasn't that bad. It was a little heavy lifting, and it would have helped to have a second person to help kind of hold it.
Right.
But I got it done, and that was a proud DIY moment.
Yeah. Now I will tell you, if you decide to mess with garage doors, the spring that's at the top of the door, just inside the door, that is not, you do need to know what you're doing with that, because it can hurt you.
I think it could kill you.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So DIY if you want to, but be warned, that's something you probably need to hire someone.
Spring. That's a pro tip right there. Same house, same garage door. One day I pressed the button on the to open the garage.
Got about halfway up and
it shot down so fast. I to this day kind of like say a quick little prayer every time I walk under my garage door. And the thing where like you used to like hit the garage door and run out and try to jump over the thing.
Not a good idea.
No, because it just takes that fluke accident or that fluke moment when you are going under that door and that spring breaks.
Oh, it sounds like a gun going off. It's bad.
That good door slammed down so hard. I was surprised it didn't shatter the panes in it.
Yeah. So opener, cool, no problem. Yeah. You can do that. A little bit handy.
Yeah.
Don't get into messing with the spring.
No.
No, that's there's a pro tip right there.
That's pro tip.
Yeah.
2 for 1 because we got another one
dude,
coming
we're
later.
full of it today.
Hey,
Though.
back to accidental landlords.
Yeah, accident. Well, and actually that ties in, right? So, my first rental property that I owned was exactly that methodology, right? Moved out of a house, kept that house. We actually took a HELOC on that house and used that as the down payment on the second house. Very common method for folks to acquire their first rental property. We did it. Now, I started in real estate in 2009, and in 2009, we also had a glut of accidental landlords because as you know, if you bought in 06, 07, 08, 09, prices were up here, and then all of a sudden in 10, those prices tanked. I mean, you had houses that were literally 50 cents on the dollar value-wise, in some areas of our county even more, or I guess less. And so you did have accidental landlords, and as the market improved, you saw a lot of that flush out of the system. You saw a lot of folks that, we just need to hold on to this house until we can make our money back. Those types of attitudes, and I think we're seeing some of that same thing. It's not because of a loss of value, but it is a difficulty in selling. And honestly, like there's some of the difficulty in selling is the difficulty in giving up a rate in the 2s or 3s.
Oh, sure.
Like that's hard for me to stomach that.
I have one closing Friday that great clients, super qualified, like the high enough income to be able to afford both payments if something were to go wrong. And they go a couple months without a tenant. Obviously, that's not going to be their goal, but we qualified them for the new home without having to do anything on the old one because the payment on it was so low. Yeah, exactly. And it's it's very tempting for folks as they're looking at that to hang on to that house simply because the money is so cheap on it. Right. I get it. Totally get it. Yeah. What I will tell you is, landlording can be very rewarding. It can be very difficult. It can be very frustrating. You will learn all kinds of things about humanity that you don't really wish that you had to know. And it is not for everybody. That being said, if you do have the stomach for it and you have the time for it, a lot of folks think that it's totally passive income and all of that. Now, it's more passive if you hire a property management company to manage it for you. Right. But they need to get paid as well. They're going to cut into some of that cash flow. So you have to really look at, if your payment is this and your rent is this, and you cut some of that margin out with the property management company, how much margin are you making? What I love about landlording is that there's 2 distinct income streams coming off of that, right? You have a market appreciation, so you have an asset that's going up in value, and you have a cash flow business, but you have to think about that business. You do have maintenance, you do have HVACs that go out, you do have water leaks, you do have people that. And hey, guess what? Now you have a duty to your tenant to repair that in a timely manner.
You have a contractual obligation. That's right.
I remember talking
and state law that are not in your favor.
No, and I remember talking with a young couple, and I think I lost them as a client, but I was adamantly like, you do not need to do this. And it was younger in my mortgage career, but I told them, like, well, if you do this and this and this, you can. They never circled back to me. I never circled back to them. I don't know if they ended up heeding my advice and just decided not to become landlords, or if they found somebody else who was more not going to like give them a hard time about it after they had done the things they needed to do. Whatever that happened with them, I have no idea. But I remember telling them, look, you will have $0 in the bank after you close. So you'll be able to do it. You will have $0.
And that is always when the water heater goes out.
And that is a scary position to be in because you have no liquidity, you have no line of credit, you have no savings to be able to take care of something that might go wrong with the property, and you have a duty and a financial obligation, a contractual obligation,
and state law
to do so.
Yeah. So let's talk about a couple things. If you think you're going to become an accidental landlord, if you think that's in your cards, or even if you are considering doing it on purpose. Yeah. Okay. There's a few things that you need to know. Number one is that banks will not give you a home equity line of credit for the most part on a rental property.
There's a couple that will.
There's a couple that will, but it's typically not favorable.
Yeah. And that's another good point. Not necessarily favorable.
Right.
Timeout. Cammy wants to play.
Yep. So that's number one. Okay. So if you need to have that home equity line of credit in order to make the next transition happen, you have to take that out prior to turning it into rental property. And there's rules about that. So, check all of the fine print, talk to people that know in your particular circumstance more than this general advice that I'm giving right here. Okay. So that's one. Two, be very careful right now about home equity line of credit money anyway, because rates are crazy high on that stuff and they move. So if we hope that interest rates are going to come down some this year. But hope is not a plan.
After today, you talk about market movers. The CPI came out today.
Yeah. Again, hope is not a plan.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to make sure that you're good if they don't, and if they go up more, which is entirely possible. We're in a volatile.
You could absolutely see a shift in the federal monetary policy where the Federal Reserve says, "Hey, we cut rates 4 times last year. But this year we need to jack it back up a quarter or a half, and that could absolutely happen.
It's totally possible. So if you're on a thread right there, that is not the time. No. That is not when you want to do it. The next thing is make sure that whatever mortgage you have on that property currently allows for rental property. Yeah. So for example, if you did a THDA loan, you cannot turn that into rental property.
I had that conversation with somebody last week,
and they will call it.
They will.
I've had to sell a house, not personally, but for someone in a hurry because they got called on their THDA loan because they rented it.
Yeah.
They absolutely check that.
They do.
And they're not the only ones. So just double check your terms and make sure that you are allowed to make that rental property. So that's another thing. The next thing is here's some things that you got to be prepared for. You need to have some cash in the bank for repairs that you can't do yourself. I would say my advice to you is that you have the ability to do some repairs yourself. Can you swap out a dishwasher? Can you swap out a microwave? Can you patch a hole in the wall? Can you replace a single shingle if it blows off? Those kinds of things. You don't want to have to pay somebody every single time. You're not going to get a handyman or a contractor to even start their truck for less than $100.
Yeah.
So every single thing that happens is going to cost you if you have to pay someone. You need to be able to do some of that yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing, this is my advice. I am not a fan for pure rental property that I'm using for wealth building. I want to be able to drive by it on a whim, put my eyes on it. I want the neighbor to call me and be like, "Hey man, there's something kind of weird going on at there. Yeah. They've had all these cars there. They've got a bunch of dogs in the backyard, whatever," and be able to go and enforce the terms of my lease when I want to, not have to plan a trip somewhere
to go check it
out. So that's me.
Yeah.
And I do drop by my rental houses.
Yeah.
So
you can't go in them, right?
Oh, you can.
You can? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's built into my lease that you can. Now, I don't, right? Not without significant prior notice and all of that kind of stuff, but you absolutely can.
Okay.
A couple little tricks that I learned, I used to build this in, is I would build into my lease that the middle of every month I would change the air filters at the property. So I'm doing them a favor, doing some maintenance, but that means I am inside that house
every month.
Yep. So that's a possibility.
And you're also making sure for your maintenance that routine stuff is being done.
Correct. You can also
count on your tenant to change the filters.
Not going to happen.
They ain't going to do it.
No, not going to happen. And it will absolutely freeze your unit up. I also collect rent at the property. Okay. And I also have properties that I'm literally next to all the time.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a big deal. The other thing I'll tell you is this: look at the house and the property that you have, and really assess if that's a good rental. So here's what I mean by that. You have a townhouse. You have $165 a month HOA fee. Okay. And let's say that your payment on it's $1,000 a month, right?
That's a dream.
So, because we're old, right? We're old notes on this. So you're $1,165 a month. Okay, is your you have to pay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you hire a property management company, and let's say that the rent is $1,600 a month. Okay, they're going to take at least 10%, right? So that's $160. So now you're at 1165 and 160. So what's the math on this? 1325.
Yeah.
1325 a month that you're laying out. Okay. So that means you're only putting in your pocket. What's the difference? $275.
Yeah.
That's going in your pocket every month. Okay. I say only. You're also reducing
some of that
principal.
mortgage payments, reducing
Sure.
principal.
And that's what I was saying. We grow two ways, right? The asset appreciates
and then
and we
the
have
equity.
cash flow.
Yeah.
So we're getting $275 a month. Well, how many $275 a month payments does it take to cover one vacant month's rent?
At $1,000 or
$1,600.
$1,600. Golly. Yeah.
Right?
So 8 months.
Exactly. So you have to have at least a 1 year lease to build up enough of a nut
Yeah.
in case it's vacant 1 month.
Yeah.
Okay. How many $275 a month profits, if you will, does it take to replace a $7,000 HVAC
You ain't
unit?
gonna break even.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as you start to do the math, then it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying don't do it on a
Right.
$275. It's still positive cash flow.
Yeah.
Especially if you have to.
Yeah.
But that brings me to the next piece of advice is have cash in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say have cash in the bank and have a long-term outlook on this, right? We don't flip houses to have rentals.
Right.
Does that make sense? Those
Yeah.
are two very different
Different
ways to make
ways
money.
of going. Yeah.
Two different business models. And then the last thing I will tell you in my advice to you is, especially if you're acquiring a rental, if you're an accidental landlord, it's different. The most important thing is an exit strategy, right? If you had to sell this house, could you?
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I love 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, because you can get rid of them no matter what the market looks like
Yeah.
if you had to.
Yep.
Now, not saying that a 2-2 no garage is a bad rental. I have a couple of those too.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not
That 3-2-1,
It's
3-2-2, like
gold.
yeah.
Gold. Yep. So there's my advice to you. Now, you're probably not going to follow all of that or any of that, maybe, if you're an accidental landlord.
If you're an accidental landlord, there's a reason.
It's not the end of the world, you know, and get with a good real estate agent that cares enough about you to give you advice without charging you.
Yeah.
And find a great property manager if you have to.
And it could be that it's a short-term thing for you while you're waiting for things to turn.
Yeah. Or hit a certain equity position or whatever. But get help is what I would tell you. Enlist some help.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
How about This Is Real?
Let's do This Is Real.
Man,
How about this is real?
So we can really
And
stay.
Cammie's real comfortable.
Yes, she is.
Oh, man. Jackson Pollock got a hold of this one.
Wow, dude. Paint.
It looks like a Smurf exploded.
Over there by the fridge.
Well, you got blue, you got white. Their hat exploded.
Yeah.
They left their face imprint on the wall. It was Smurfette because look at the hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Need to call Fresh Coat Surfaces.
Were they... Yeah, I just want to... There's a story here.
Something.
There's a story.
I would say that this is a vandalism situation.
This is a tenant moved out
It said F you.
and said F you to their landlord.
But
This is what you might have to deal with if you are an accidental landlord.
look at the peek through cabinets
Good gosh.
above the
Yeah.
the doors are
You can
gone.
see all the way through them. Yeah, they're not supposed to be that way.
All right.
There's supposed to be cabinet. That's a great observation. There's supposed to be cabinet doors there. Yeah, this is vandalism. It's got to be. And what's interesting is that the landlord, I'm assuming that this was a rental. The landlord did not bother to put any of their own capital into making it show worthy. He said, buy it as is.
This is also why we do background checks, by the way. I have a great source on that. I actually just had to switch vendors for that this week.
Yeah.
And the one that I'd used for years and years. Have y'all ever seen a website go out of business? Like, it was weird. I used
there was a .com bust.
yeah, but I used rentingauthority.com, and when I went to their website, it said, as of whatever date, we're shutting it down. It's like they retired the website. It was pretty wild.
I had we used to live in Scottish Glen,
we
and
moving on?
3 doors
Yes.
down from us was a friend, and one door down from us, the other direction, was that friend's rental proproperty, and he bought it as a rental. Like that was his
Close
intention all
proximity.
along. He's right there.
Yep.
And the guy, I remember, like, I mean, at this stage in my life, I was late 20s, early 30s, you know, and the guys living next door, real cool, you know, we'd hang out, we'd have a beer, we'd play cornhole. They trashed that house. And they had some kind of like relationship with the guy that they were renting from. And when they moved out, he said it was like 15 grand to get it back to rental condition.
My goodness. So I don't do carpet in my rentals for that reason, because that's a big one, and then that's why you go and look. I mean, not to be crass, but give a damn.
Yeah,
it's your asset.
Yeah, and just because you know the people doesn't mean they care about your asset.
In fact, it probably means they don't.
They take it a little bit more for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Trent, what's next, buddy?
Shiny pennies.
Oh, yeah.
Take it away.
So I'm coming in strong, man. I got a shiny penny today, too.
Let's do this.
It's great.
I found a shiny dime in the store yesterday.
Did you pick it up?
Heck yeah, I did. It's silver.
It's 10 cents, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's grant season.
Yay.
You know what that means, right?
Grant Hammond?
No, not Grant Hammond. He's doing great, though.
He is.
Grant season, Federal Home Loan Bank, they give out grants to home buyers. A lot of times, there's different programs, right? So the one that's more common in Tennessee is administered out of the Federal Home Loan Bank of Cincinnati, and it's called Welcome Home. Mm-hmm. And so any bank that's like chartered in Tennessee can participate in this, where they can give grants.
Not that all of them do, but they can.
Not that all of them do, but they can. Mm-hmm. They give some grants to help people with down payment assistance. The bank that I work for is headquartered out of North Carolina, and so we participate in the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta's program. It's called Set Aside. So regardless of whether it's Welcome Home or Set Aside, they're all set up very similarly. Little nuances and differences. The thing about it is, just don't spend too much time shopping the differences. Get what you can get, because they go fast.
Real fast.
The banks get a pool of money, and when that pool of money is gone, the money's gone. So our training and our call to find out the particulars for this year's program is next week, so I don't have a lot of details on it. But if you're a realtor that's working with some first-time home buyers or some buyers that maybe need a little bit of money for some down payment, we've got other options too besides this that are available year-round. I have another closing this week. Somebody's using one of those programs. So just because you don't have down payment saved up doesn't mean it's not a good conversation to have about, can you buy a house? Because if there's other boxes that get checked, the answer could very well be yes.
And it's been a minute since I've had a client use one of these, but they go on top of whatever else. So if it's a THDA loan, FHA loan, right, whatever, it goes on top of that. Yeah. And it is used specifically for down payment assistance. And it's, if I remember correctly, like there's a cap on how much it is, and sometimes you don't get all of that cap because you don't need it, and so like it's not a guaranteed.
There's all kinds of little nuances, and they change from year to year too. So they're fun to participate in, but
it's free money essentially.
It is, because most of them have some sort of forgiveness aspect to them.
Recapture,
unlike a THDA. So it's they're great programs,
and typically all that is just you got to stay in the house for a certain period of time.
And there's also going to be with those there's income limits. So like with those programs, you can make too much money to participate in them, but then there's other programs like the one that I have closing on Friday where the income's strong. Like there's no problem there with income, but he couldn't do THDA, he couldn't do these other programs. So there's other programs that are available year round. Now you pay for them, like you're going to have a higher rate, you're going to have higher closing costs, but you can make the things like that work.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. So, get ahead of it. If you think that this is the year for you to buy that house, let's go ahead and start talking. Let's go ahead and, get some docs submitted, some income stuff ready.
You want your pre-qualification in hand. Like,
let's start looking at houses, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, because those things, they can go fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will stack up, and they'll stack their clients who they know need these grants. And so, like,
the first week,
the day they go live, they can be gone. Now, sometimes, like what we saw last year, was the money stuck around a lot longer than we expected it to, because it was such a dynamic where, like, the income limit is here, costs of houses and interest rates put it here, so the margin of people that qualified for them was so slim.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see this year what changes with some of those limits and things.
Can you, historically, could you use that money to buy a rate down, or is it only down payment assistance?
It can go towards closing costs too, so it could be used.
Okay. So that could actually benefit you on an affordability side of things as well.
Let's say maybe you can negotiate for the seller to pay $10,000 towards your closing costs. You could use that for your down for your closing costs help and rate buy down, and then you could use this money strictly for down payment.
Well, I'm picturing marrying it to rural development, so you don't have a down payment, or VA, those kinds of things, where you don't have that down payment. Then I mean, you could very easily get into a house with no cash.
Yeah.
So the point being, let's talk. Let's
a great time
look
to
at
have
your
these conversations.
Yeah, and be ready. Let's start looking at houses. Here's the thing I'll tell you. Our market is so weird right now. There's very little stuff on the market, resale wise.
Yeah.
And even new construction, it is what it is. But as a percentage of the market, it's gone way up. The actual quantity has not. It's about the same.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot on the market. But that said, if something great hits the market, something really highly desirable, multiple offers exist also.
It's a wild market, isn't it?
It's totally
so
crazy.
Interesting. Yeah.
Totally crazy. So the way you win in a current, like this right now, multiple offer scenario is that you have your crap together.
Yeah.
That's how you win right now.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily one of those things where if you're, FHA, you're automatically out, because you're probably competing against everybody else with the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a thing where you're necessarily, one of 7 FHAs against 10 cash. It's not like that. But it is a thing where if I can go to that listing agent and say, listen, they're doing their financing with Bryan. Bryan has already done this, and this to get them pre-qualified.
They're going to hear from me.
They're going to hear from Bryan, right? His pre-qualification letter does actually have a little bit of weight to it, right? Like, unlike a lot of them, it's not we breathed on a mirror and turned it in, along with a fake check stub.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then we are able to position and explain how we're going to make it as smooth and easy of a transaction as possible, which is what I'm good at.
You can win in those things.
We can win all day long with that.
There. Yeah.
We win all day long like that.
Yeah.
Nice
shiny pennies.
That's a very shiny penny. Got a pro tip?
The pro tip.
There you go.
Oh, sorry. I gave a bunch of pro tips on the landlord side of things.
Right.
My biggest pro tip for that is, man, if that's something that you want to do, I'm for it. I am for using real estate for wealth building, but I'm also for it in a smart, not needing medication sort of way. So if it's something that you want to do, I've done it. I'm doing it. Let's sit down. Let's have coffee. I am not going to try to talk you out of it. Okay. I don't want to list your house if that's the house that you want in order to start your legacy with some properties. I'm not going to do it. There's a lot of agents that will. I will not.
Yeah.
I'm for it, and I'm going to help you. So let's sit down. Let's grab a coffee. Let's talk through it. I'll be very honest with you about the upsides and the downsides. And let's just talk about it.
Have a conversation.
Yeah, and maybe you can turn accidental into only semi-accidental.
Yeah.
Right?
At least you had a plan.
At least you had sort of a plan. Loss mitigation. How about that, right? Yeah, so there's my pro tip.
As part of that loss mitigation, you've identified the exit strategy.
Got to have the exit strategy.
Yeah. Yep.
And maybe that exit strategy is even okay right now, but it's only okay, and you want to do a little better than okay. So we delay that exit strategy for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a plan.
Yeah.
That's a plan, and it's a workable plan.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anything else?
Man, I always do this, but Cedar Glade's got some fun stuff coming. So check out our socials over on Cedar Glade. We got a Valentine's party coming up on Friday night. It's going to be a blast. You can bring your Valentine in, whether they're 2-legged or 4-legged. We've got some photographs being done. Patricia Drock Photography is doing that. It's going to be really cool. And man, then we have the gauntlet of parties, dude. We've got
some stuff.
We got Mardi Gras on March 1st. We got the Toga Party on March 15th. And we've got St. Patrick's Day on March 17th.
Yeah.
It's going to be a blast. It is going to be a blast. So, sign up for all of your rewards on Uber so that, or Lyft, whatever, so that you can get that benefit of Ubering back and forth to Cedar Glade and come hang out with us. Also, 80s prom.
Yeah.
When is 80s prom coming? February 22nd, 80s prom. Any previews, Missy? Any
may or may not see Ghostbusters.
We may or may not see the Ghostbusters. Anything else? Anything you can tell us? Karaoke?
King and Queen.
Scarioke, as I like to call it. King and Queen. I saw your picture of Kinsey and her man.
Yeah, that's classic.
Yep, that giant poof.
We're crowning a new queen this year.
Very good. And it benefits Purple Paws this year,
Yes.
which is I kind of liken them to United Way for pets, right? Like they bring in some money and then they write grants back out to various animal-related charities in our area. It's pretty cool. The big advocates of no-kill shelters and things like that, and rescues and things of that nature. So, worthwhile organization for sure.
Nice. Good stuff.
Trent, we got some fun stuff happening.
We sure do.
I'm going to just hint at this. We're shooting a pilot tonight.
Yes, we are.
And I'm going to be here. I'm going to watch it. I'm not on it.
Right.
But we formulated this idea sitting right here a couple weeks ago, and it's already got legs.
I'm so excited for this.
That happened fast.
It happened fast because it's a great idea is
Is there
why.
anything that you can tease about it? I still want royalties on this too, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Beat and music.
Butcher and the band.
The Butcher and the Band. We're speaking it out into the world, huh?
It's officially happening.
The Butcher and the Band.
Andy Holmes with Tennessee Craft Butcher, and he's going to be talking meat and music.
Meat and music. Some of my favorite things. Cedar Glade's providing the beer. It's going to be a party. It's going to be awesome. As one world leader would say, it's going to be huge.
Huge.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right.
All right.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
All right.
Y'all
Cheers.
stay tuned.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, what am I doing?
Meat and music.
What else you need? Thank you for listening to another episode of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your go-to resource for all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see y'all on the next one.
Now for the nitty-gritty. Primis Mortgage Company is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC. Primis Mortgage NMLS number 1894879, BK number 1042893, ML number 1894879. As always, all loans are subject to credit approval and product guidelines. Equal housing lender.